Can I help you? Wait a minute. Just wait a minute. You better not scratch that car. Here. That's it. Okay, see ya. Bye, George.
How you going, guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. So today we're going to be setting up and testing our new machine. So what we've invested in to expand our business and our capabilities is a RapidBlast SD140 sandblasting unit. And with the package, we also bought an Airman 185 CFM compressor. So like all businesses, we all have goals we'd like to reach. This has been a goal of mine for the past couple of years. So we haven't had the capabilities to sandblast entire cylinders. We only have our little blasting cabinet, but there's only so much you can fit in that. So you might recall a job I did a couple of months ago where I did a lot of work on a D8 blade, and a couple of you commented how good it would have been to have been able to paint that blade and send it out completed. Unfortunately, we weren't set up for blasting, and our customer then had to go find someone to do the blasting and the painting. And when we buy components and cylinders from auctions, they do come to us quite weathered and multiple layers of paint and really bad paint jobs, and trying to work in with a local sandblaster to sandblast something before it comes through the workshop, it does become quite difficult, especially when the jobs do have a bit of a time restraint on them and we end up having to do the job without blasting it. That's just not to the standard that I would want it to be. I would like to go over the entire component and check it for cracks and any imperfections before I give it back to my customer. So there have been a few scenarios over the years where customers of mine have had a component repaired somewhere else, and during the repair they weren't crack tested and that component failed. That is a massive expense to the customer because it means the machine's going to be down for 1 to 2 days and they need to replace that part. I don't want to be caught in a situation where a component that I have repaired has failed because something was overlooked. So investing in this setup is going to eliminate all of those potential issues. Now we can blast everything, do a full inspection and be 100% sure that what we're giving back to our customer is going to last. So this SD140 is 140 litre capacity and it is a dustless blasting unit. So there is water in the pot with the abrasive. The water does suppress the dust and it also helps keep all of the garnet or the abrasive media you're shooting and the particle you're blasting off a job. It just lands on the ground and then you can sweep it up when you're done. And that was one of the key things that I needed because I am in an industrial estate. I'm very conscious of my neighbours and I don't want to be putting dust throughout their work areas or over their yard. So that also means I don't need to have a blasting booth in order to do any sandblasting here. So we're going to get this outside and get it all set up and we'll explain a bit more about it as we go. So before purchasing this, we did look at a few options. I did look into the dustless blasting system made in Texas, but the company that supplies those here in Australia didn't return any phone calls or send me any quotes or information. The other companies I spoke to wanted to sell me a system that was far too big for what I wanted, and in order for it to be mobile I would have to buy a truck just to carry it around. So this unit was definitely our best option. So because this is the first time I've ever used this machine, I am going to follow the procedure on how to connect everything and load it. Because they are a pressure vessel, they are extremely dangerous, so you really need to follow exactly how it is stated in the manual. So the first thing we need to do is make sure the ball valve on the top of the pot is open. And during wet blasting that always stays open. Next thing we need to do is make sure the slurry valve on the bottom of the pot is closed. So the next step is making sure the abrasive valve is completely closed. Next thing we need to do is open up the dump valve. Next thing I need to do is make sure we're on blast mode, but it is already set there from the factory. So the pot came pretty much set up, ready to go. All we need to do is put on the blast hose and then the hose from the pot to the compressor, and then we can add our media. So with the setup, we did get a 20 meter blasting hose. It is rated at 150 PSI. And it also has a dead man switch on the handpiece, so when you press that button, the machine engages and it allows the media to flow through the end of the nozzle. When you let go of that, it stops the media altogether. So now that that's done, we're going to set up the compressor line. It's thread tape. So on the front of the compressor there are 3 air taps, so you have 3 air outlets if you are running multiple things like jackhammers or something like that. Now we can connect the water hose onto the blasting pot. Because this has a blast mode and a washdown mode, you don't put water straight into the pot. The water gets fed from the air pump through the control box, and that's how you fill up the pot. So before I can add the media, I do need to put a little bit of water in the pot first so we don't end up with clogging in the valves. So I'm going to open the top of the tank up, and then I'm going to close the ball valve on the side. So we also got some of this rapid hold. It is a rust inhibitor. You add it to the pot before you start blasting, and that is to help prevent flash rusting for up to 72 hours. So I'll let that run for about 20 to 30 seconds. So we've got our water in the pot, we can now add our blast media. And if we were to fill the pot all the way to the top with media, we would get 2 hours of blast time. So the media we're going to be using, it is river garnet, and its size is an 80 mesh. So we get these bags from our supplier. They are $25 a bag. We do get them at a very good price because we buy them by the ton. The reason I'm using garnet is because it is a far better material to remove paint and rust from components. I'm not a big fan of crushed glass because it does put silica into the air, and to clean that up is quite difficult. But this unit has been designed to be very versatile. It can be used in many different applications with many different media styles. So you can use crushed glass, glass bead, walnut shell, plastic pellets, copper slag, pretty much whatever you can shoot through the nozzle, you could use in this pot. So we're primarily going to be using this for rust and paint removal, but they can remove graffiti off concrete, you can restore stone and timber finishes. You can turn these down to the point where they will remove the paint off a Coke can. So they are extremely versatile, and there are so many different medias you can fire through them that no job is really unachievable. So the pot is capable of handling 140 litres, so we could put 3, 4, 5 bags of material in here. But because I'm only testing this today, I'm not going to overfill the pot with excess media. So now we're just going to let the pot fill up with water. So while the pot's filling up with water, we're going to fuel up the compressor and get that ready. So this Airman compressor, it is made in Japan, so they are of very good quality. They also have a 7-year air end warranty, and we also have the supplier not far up the road. So if something was to ever go wrong, I would be able to get help straight away. These compressors are run off diesel engines. They are extremely quiet, and they do last a long time with a full tank of fuel. So now it's filled up, I'm going to close off the top of the pot, and then I'm going to open the abrasive valve all the way. and then the water pressure will start to build in the pot. So now we've got water pressure in the pot, I'm going to close the abrasive valve, then back it off one full turn, and that will be sufficient for blasting garnet at 50 psi. And we can adjust that as we go when we're blasting. Now with all that done, we can open the slurry valve. So we are ready to blast. Last thing I need to do is start the compressor, but first I need to get the job set up we're going to be blasting.
There we go.
So we are going to be blasting a D10 equalizer bar. This does belong to one of our customers and it has come in to have all 3 positions line bored. So these are very common for cracks through the center and each end through the grease hole. So this will be a perfect thing to test our sandblaster on. So this is the first time I've ever run a dustless blasting unit. I have run plenty of the dry systems before, but I did do a virtual demo with the owner, Daniel, and I have watched a few of his videos just to see how they all work. Now we can put it to use. I really like Japanese stuff. It is extremely quiet. You can work very close to it without it affecting your hearing. So there are a few things we really liked about this RapidBlast system. It was designed and developed here in Australia by someone who came from the sandblasting industry. The parts for the machine are readily available and very easy to source. We also have very good local support and support Australia-wide. And so far, anytime we've spoken with support, they have been extremely helpful. I'm also really happy with how the pot is constructed and everything is put together and finished off. Not only that, the pressure vessel does have a lifetime warranty and we have a 1-year warranty on the control unit. So I can tell we've run out of the garnet. I'm only getting water coming out through the nozzle, and that worked out perfectly because I did end up stripping the entire bar. Now I'm going to flip it onto the wash mode so I can clean this off. And this wash down feature is definitely a highlight. It is the only blasting system in the world that has it integrated into the blasting unit. Turn off the slurry valve. So I'm really happy with how well that sandblaster works. It is extremely efficient and very easy to use. It made very short work of removing all the paint and the rust off this EQ bar. It only took 10 minutes to blast off all the material and another couple of minutes to wash it down. So this is going to be a massive asset to our business. So if we were to store the sandblaster, I would do a wash down procedure which would clear out all the hoses of all the media and the moisture, but we're not doing that. So the next thing I'm going to do is take the EQ bar inside so we can crack test it. Righto, so our EQ bar is nicely sandblasted now. We do have a layer of flash rust on it, and that is because I didn't put any of the rapid hold into the pot. So that flash rusted pretty quick. It's only been about half an hour since I packed up the blaster, but that's not going to be a problem for what we're doing next. What I usually do in the beginning is do a visual inspection, have a look over the equalizer bar to see if I can see anything that doesn't look right. One end is pretty well destroyed. They have run that all the way till it destroyed everything inside, so it's going to have to be bored all the way out, multiple layers of weld put back in, and then remachined back to size. So the other end is not in good shape either. It looks like someone has put a few stitches of weld to hold the bearing in place. The customer did knock that out before he sent it over to me. There is also a lot of gouging in that area, whether they were trying to rebuild it and they gouged holes in it for some reason. And there's also sleeves in the seal surfaces. So there are two styles of seals available for the D10 equalizer bars. One is a larger diameter than the other, but the larger one is more expensive because they are an upgrade. They do offer a lot more flexibility while the bar is working in the machine. So they've used a smaller seal, most likely to try and save some money, or they had them on the shelf. It also has a stop shoulder that's been machined into it, and that is to avoid using another snap ring. I don't think that's a good idea. I really hate when I see that because it means someone's cut a corner while they've been doing their job. These are designed to have two snap rings so you can knock bushes out and knock bushes in without any interference. Putting a stop shoulder in there, it does limit you being able to service that end of the equalizer bar. So the center position is in pretty good shape. It's not completely worn out. It is a little bit oversized, so it's going to need line boring. There are a few marks inside there from where someone has hammered out the original bushing, but there are a few other signs up here that make me a little bit wary onto what happened to this. There is a lot of grinding on the top of the equalizer bar, which isn't something they do from the factory, so I'm assuming this has probably been repaired once before. So to do the crack testing, I am going to be doing the tops of each bar end, and the reason for that is that cracks do generally form through the grease holes. I will end up crack testing the inside of the bores after I've line bored out all that damaged material, because it's very hard to identify a crack when there is so much damage in there. And even though the center position looks like it's in pretty good condition, I am going to crack test all of that as well, because that is where they are most likely to fail. It generally starts on the inside and works its way out, then that completely cracks through, and when they do break, they just snap completely in half, and then the dozer nose dives into the ground. So to do the crack testing, we are going to be using our 4-step die penetrant system. So we've applied the developer, but it is taking a very long time for it to dry. It is quite humid today and we're just about to get a storm. So we're just going to give this a little bit more time to dry and see if any cracks reveal themselves.
What you got? Oh, hang on. Hey, where's your rope gone? Where'd it go? Where is it? You left it behind. Go find it. Bring it here. Good boy. Okay.
So the developer has fully dried now. There are no cracks present. That is the best outcome we could have hoped for. But I'm still going to crack test the bar ends once they've been line bored, so I'm 100% sure there are no cracks. Righto, so our first test with our new sandblasting unit is exactly what we had hoped for. It is very fast and efficient. It is going to expand the capabilities of what we can do here in the workshop quite a lot. We've also got a lot of customers that are very interested in us taking our sandblaster out to their sites to do sandblasting on a lot of their components for track frames and anything else that needs repair. Depending on how busy I am here in the workshop, I will probably end up sending Troy out to do the blasting for me. So this particular setup is perfect for us here in this industrial estate, but I also purchased the dry blasting attachment, which means we don't have to carry water if we do go out to a customer's site or they don't have water available. Dry blasting, it does stop the flash rusting issue, but it does create a lot of dust. And not only is this going to open up a very large range of services we can offer to our customers, we are also going to be using it to sandblast our Franna crane because it needs a complete new paint job. So I hope you enjoyed seeing our new sandblaster in action. Stay tuned for when I start blasting that crane. Thanks for watching. Right, you ready? Right, you ready? Right, you ready? Right, you ready? Right, ready?
Yep.
So not
Wow.
what am I saying? What was after that? Wait, how'd you start that? Right, so fuck, where's that? Fucking plane, he's low.
You're so ADD, man. It's like, ooh, a plane. Ooh, a squirrel.
And so, ice cream.
What about the stop shoulder?
Right. So the fuck off, bird. Right. So
Not right, so.
Which end are we calling that?
That end. You've just called it that end.
Right. Right. So is it this end or that end?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Just. Who's that?
Righto. So our first test with our new sandblasting. Oh fuck me. Right. So our new. Oh fuck me. So how are we starting this?
That's pretty munted. You can just tell from looking at it that it is nice.
For a compressor, this is probably the sexiest one out there. So the first thing to check is the ball valve. Oh, what do they call it? Fuck.
Are you excited or?
So pretty excited about this because it's a new toy.
Does the crane attract lightning?
That one will.
Oh yeah, that one will over there.
That one will. Sure thing. What's happening over the train tracks at the moment, they're doing a new maintenance facility, so there is a lot of works happening over there. I really like cranes, and they've got to do a big bridge lift over here in the next couple of weeks, so hopefully we'll get some footage of that.
That'd be cool.
That'll be cool.